Good morning. Welcome to session 1 of chapter 3 of company law. Here we are in the third chapter and we need to discuss about share capital. See, very interesting subject, and we all in one or the other way might have studied about share capital. Here it is it's a lifeblood of business, and without share capital it is not possible to run the business too. Therefore here we are going to study about the legal. We are seeing it from the legal aspect of share capital. We are seeing the legal aspect of share capital. So let's see what are the information we are complied with. Share capital refers to the capital raised or to be raised by a company through the issue of shares, particularly share capital. So capital can be collected from general public. Of course, promoters finance to the company themselves, but it is not sufficient. Okay, so in course of time the company needs to grow bigger. Therefore, for these development activities, to grow bigger, it must be supplemented by so many developmental activities and other allied activities which pinpoint to development, which are moving towards development. So there are so many stand pillars to see development. Therefore here huge amount of capital is needed. So in different ways capital can be collected: by way of fixed deposits, by way of share capital, by way of debentures, and by way of in different forms shares. We can collect capital from general public. So this is the capital. Share capital means the capital which have already collected by way of share. We are confining only to the issue of shares as a mean to collect capital from general public. So it may be the capital which have already collected or to be raised by the company by the issue of shares. Share capital can be raised only by companies limited by shares and registered with the share capital. Companies limited by guarantee and unlimited companies may or may not have share capital. Okay. Share capital can be raised by the company either at the beginning or at the later stage. Share capital once raised cannot be redeemed except in case of redeemable preference shares. Okay, so it can be returned only at the time of winding up of the company, at the time of liquidation of the company. With reference to company law, in the beginning itself, rightly I have said that we are seeing only from the point of view of law. Okay, from the legal eyes, we are seeing what share capital is and the legal aspects of share capital. The share capital is used in the following senses. Okay, so here this is about share capital, and the different types of share capital we are coming across is we have already studied it. So once again we are recalling the points. Authorized capital. Authorized capital means registered capital. So it is a capital stated in the capital clause of memorandum of association of the company. It's a maximum amount which a company is authorized to issue by its memorandum of association. So this is the capital the company has already registered. Therefore, it is also called registered capital. So this may be the real capital or actual capital of the company. It's also called, another name is there for authorized capital. It can also be called as nominal capital, issued capital. See, according to the need, in different intervals you are going to issue the shares as and when the need arises. As I said earlier, to run the company for a longer period of time, of course you know how severe it is, the competition in the marketplace. So to run the company for a longer period of time, you need to conduct so many development activities continuously. So all the development activities must be backed by financing properly, and how the financing is done by way of capital. So issued capital means as and when the need arises, you are going to issue the capital out of authorized capital. So this is a part of authorized capital, what we can say, which is issued to the public for subscription. And unissued capital means a portion of authorized capital which is not yet issued to public. Subscribed capital. Subscribed capital means a portion of capital which is actually subscribed, applied by general public. Unsubscribed capital means the portion of authorized capital which is not been applied by, asked for by general public. Next we are moving on to called up capital. See, some amount of capital is authorized or registered, and the registrar of companies put his seal on some amount of capital, out of which according to the need arises you issue a portion of capital, and out of the issued capital you may call some amount from the allotted capital. Okay, so may call the amount. It's a part of subscribed capital which is called by, demanded by the company. Uncalled capital means, say for example, if the share is priced rupees 10 and shares are issued to general public, and at this juncture you may ask them to bring 2 rupees per share out of 10. Okay, so if you are asked, if a person holding 1000 shares, 2 rupees into 1000, so he is asked to pay 2000 rupees. Otherwise, how much he is asked to pay? 1000 is the total number of shares held by Mr. A, and into 10 rupees is the share price, is equal to 10,000 rupees he need to pay. But in this juncture he need to pay only 2000 rupees, as called up capital is 2 rupees per share. And uncalled capital means the unpaid amount on the shares. Okay, uncalled amount, not demanded amount of the shares, means 8 rupees is the uncalled amount. Paid up capital. So this is from the point of view of general public. The company authorizes, issues and calls for bringing capital, but the amount whether the public gives or not is at the discretion of them. So if the public are ready to give the amount, then it becomes paid up capital. Okay, paid up capital means it's a part of called up capital which is actually paid by the shareholders. Unpaid capital means it's a portion of called up capital which is not paid by shareholders. Okay, this is unpaid capital. And reserved capital is the next one. Here, sometimes a company may decide not to call a portion of its uncalled capital except on its winding up. Okay, so if the uncalled capital is remained in the company, it may remain uncalled the amount. Say for example, if the share is priced rupees 10, 2 rupees is called and 8 rupees is uncalled. So it may remain uncalled unless there is winding up. Okay, so the part of uncalled capital which is reserved till winding up of the company is called reserved capital. It is also known as reserve liability of the shareholders. Okay, so during the time of winding up, liquidation only, the portion of capital is called by the company. Then we are moving on to shares. Before stepping into types of shares, let's see what's the meaning of shares. Section 2 subsection 84 of Companies Act of 2013 defines share as a share is a portion, a share is a share in the share capital of the company. Okay, a share in the capital of the company and includes stock. Then what may be the nature of shares? If you think so, the share is not a negotiable instrument. It cannot be transferred. Negotiable instrument means which cannot be transferred from one hand to another hand freely. The share of any member in a company is his movable property because it can be carried from one place to another. The movable property of a person is of two kinds: choose in possession choose in action. The expression of choose in possession means the property which is in the physical possession, goods of any kind. The shares are also included in the legal definition of goods. Okay, so there is a legal definition for goods. In the eyes of law, some items are called goods. That is called legal definition. Share is also one among them. The expression of a choose in action means the property which is not in the immediate physical possession of a person. So the property, if not in the physical possession of a person, this means choose in action. But the person has a right to the property which can be enforced by legal action. Means the right of a person to exercise his action on a particular property which is not seen is called choose in action. This right is generally evidenced by a document, say for example bill of lading, railway receipts, etc. See, the ownership on a particular property has two types. One is physical possession, another one is by virtue of being the owner, by holding it. Say for example, you have purchased a property, you have purchased land. So wherever you go, you can't carry the land on your head or in your pocket. Just the documents which prove, which act as an evidence for the purchase of land. Or if you have purchased shares, the physical shares you can carry from one place to another place. So shares means choose in possession. Land, if you purchase, choose in action, means you can exercise your rights on the land through paper documents. The right will be in paper documents. Legal actions are exercised on the basis of paper documents. A share certificate is the evidence for shareholders' rights which can be enforced by legal action. Thus, the shares in a company in India are both goods as well as choose in action. In the sense, both choose in action and choose in possession. Why? Because share is a goods under the legal meaning of goods, whereas shareholder can exercise his rights. Therefore, choose in action is also applied. The share is being a movable property can be transferred in the manner prescribed in the Article of Association of the company. So, according to the provisions of Articles of Association of Company, as per Section 44 of Companies Act of 2013, shares are movable between hands. Now, we have come to the aspect of types of shares. Okay. According to Section 43 of Companies Act of 2013, a company can issue only two types of shares. First one equity shares, second one preference shares. Okay. So let's see what is preference shares first. Preference shares, which are shares which have preferential rights over payment of dividend and payment of share capital at the time of winding up of the company. In simple words, I can define it as I said now. So, Section 43 of the Act has given some definition which defines preference shares as that part of capital of the company which carries preferential right as to the payment of dividend, preferential right over the repayment of capital at the time of winding up. The preferential dividend may consist of fixed amount payable by preference shareholders, payable to preference shareholders before anything else is paid to the equity shareholders. During the winding up of the company, amount paid upon preference shares must be paid back before anything is paid to equity shareholders. That is the question at the time of winding up. So let's move on to the aspect of types of preference shares. See, there are 8 types of preference shares. First one, cumulative preference shares. the name itself says that it is a cumulative in nature. Cumulative preference shares are those shares which carry with them a right to accumulate dividends. Means, say for example, if the dividend payable is 8% for 1 year, and if not paid, in next year it accumulates, means 16% you have to pay. In third year, 8 into 3, 24% you have to pay. So, the shareholders get cumulative rights over dividend. If the company has no profit in any year, the arrears of dividend would accumulate and become payable out of the future profits during the existence of the company. Arrears of dividend also accumulates. Say for example, during last year there is a profit, so 8% paid. This year there is a loss. Even there is a loss, you have to pay 8% dividend to them. So it accumulates. If there is nothing to show in the memorandum, articles or terms and conditions of issue as to whether the shares are cumulative or non-cumulative, the presumption is that shares are cumulative preference shares. In the sense, along with equity shares, if you have raised preference shares and nothing is stated in memorandum of association and articles of association regarding the type of preference shares you have issued, it is presumed that cumulative preference shares are issued. Second one is non-cumulative preference shares. Non-cumulative preference shares are those shares which do not carry with them a right to accumulate the dividends. If a company does not earn a profit in any year, the shareholders are not entitled to claim arrears of dividend from the future profits, and arrears of dividend do not accumulate. Preference shares can be considered as non-cumulative only when it is specifically stated so in memorandum of association or articles or terms and conditions of the issue. And third one is participating preference shares. Participating preference shares are those shares which, in addition to preferential dividends, carry with them a right to participate in the surplus profit of the company when it is a going concern and surplus assets on its winding up along with equity shareholders. Participating preference shares have right to participate in the profit of the company. Unless and otherwise they are participating preference shares, the preference shares are treated as outsiders and they are not allowed to get into the activities of the company. They are not allowed to peep into the activities of the company, and if there are only during the exception that if they are participating preference shares, they are allowed to participate in the profit of the company. And non-participating preference shares are those shares which do not carry with them a right to participate in the surplus profit of the company. They are just treated as outsiders. If it is a going concern, of course it is quite common to get profit at the end of every year, right? So if it is a going concern, then surplus assets at the time of winding up also, they do not participate as shareholders. Next one, convertible preference shares. Convertible preference shares are those shares which can be converted into equity shares after some time. These shares provide for converting automatic conversion after the lapse of some time. Non-convertible preference shares is the next one. Non-convertible preference shares remain as a preference shareholders until their money is returned. They will be redeemed as preference shares only. They will not be converted into equity shareholders in the span of their life. And redeemable preference shares, redeem means cancel. Redeemable preference shares are those shares which can be redeemed, cancelled, returned during the existence of the company. When there is urgency, see, obviously one question may arise in your mind that why preference capital is needed, why only equity capital is not sufficient. As an answer to that, it's very easy. Above authorized capital, the company is not permitted to collect capital from general public. Above registered amount, you are not permitted to collect capital from general public. So, if there is any urgency, or if you find some developmental activities to be financed, then capital is needed. So you raise capital by way of preference shares. As and when you get fund, these preference shares can be redeemed because they get preferential rights over capital and dividend. So dividend is compulsory for them. If you find it is not worth to keep preference shares, say for example, if they are participating in all the means, it is dangerous to keep preference shares. Why? Because if they are participating preference shares, then they will participate in the management of the company. They will peep into the profit. So equity shareholders get disturbed if the third parties come and peep into our activities. Even if they have not contributed directly for the promotion of company, incorporation of company, they get a chance just by lending capital by way of a participating preference shares to peep into the activities of the company. Therefore, it is always a hindrance for the company. So, not to keep preference capital for a longer period of time. So, redeemable preference shares are those shares where capital is redeemed, cancelled, or repaid during the lifetime of the company. Irredeemable preference shares. Irredeemable preference shares are those preference shares which are not redeemable until the company is wound up. As per the current legal positions, companies cannot issue irredeemable preference shares. The position of irredeemable preference shares and equity shares is to the maximum extent one and same. Why? Because in current position law does not support for it. Above registered capital, the company is not permitted to collect capital from general public. So as to get more fund, additional fund, capital is collected by way of a preference shares. Even if there is no profit, as we have studied earlier, dividend is compulsory for them. That too, irredeemable preference shares means, if it is redeemable preference share, to some extent we are relaxed that if you have fund, it can be redeemed. Irredeemable preference shares, if the nature itself says that the preference shares are irredeemable in nature, means during the lifetime of company, the capital cannot be paid off, the preference shareholders cannot be paid off, and their rights and privileges are as same as equity shareholders to the maximum extent. This is what, but law does not support for this. So this is about preference shares and equity shares. And about share capital, we are studying lot of things in coming sessions. And before that, I want to tell you one thing, that in share capital mainly two types of shares we are going to discuss: preference shares and equity shares. Preference shares, about preference shares we have discussed now. About equity shares we are going to discuss in the next session. And it is important for you the types of share capital. This is types of share capital. This is types of preference shares. Okay, please get the difference between the two. Types of share capital is authorized, issued, unauthorized, issued, unissued, subscribed, unsubscribed, called up, uncalled up, paid up, unpaid up, and reserved capital. Whereas types of preference shares means cumulative, non-cumulative, participating, non-participating, convertible, non-convertible, redeemable, and irredeemable. Okay, so I hope you got it. Thank you.